Chiangrai is in the extreme north of Thailand, not far from the Burmese border, and has a population of around 200,000. And it sits nestling in the mountains, and it's quite a lovely place. It's a very relaxed city. You get the sense of a place that's both small and chill despite the significant population. It's not a place for wild nightlife. There are shopping streets, there's a wonderful night market where the food is lovely and local musicians perform nightly. There's also, interestingly, an annual jazz festival, though we weren't there for that. It's essentially a place of art and cultural heritage, and there are numerous craft shops selling local artists' work and crafts from the people of the local hill tribes. Nestling in the lee of the mountains, it's a centre for hill tribe culture, including the Hmong, the Akha and the Karen tribes. Legend has it that an emerald Buddha was found here, concealed within a chedi in 1432. Another version of that story is that the emerald Buddha was caked in mud to hide it from bandits, and it was only found many years later when a piece of clay broke off to reveal the emerald Buddha within. Chiangrai stands on the banks of the Kok River, which flows lazily through the city. Not too far out from the city, we stayed overnight in a hotel on the banks of the river, so that the following morning, as we sat on the veranda drinking coffee, we actually saw elephants roaming wild on the river bank opposite. Also, there are long tail boats that glide up and down the river, providing rides for the tourists and a delightful way of seeing the scenery. So it's a place for mountains, for absorbing local hill tribe culture, for crafts and for music. The city's strong Lana traditions are evident in the decor of various buildings, it's in the craft markets, and in the hill tribe people themselves, who can be seen in traditional dress around the night market and the walking street. The real attraction, though, is the architecture, reflecting traditional Lana style even in modern buildings, because Chiangrai has some beautiful museums and even more beautiful temples. The first of these is Ban Dam, or the Black Temple, or the Black House as it's also called. It's a unique museum rather than a temple, and it's designed by a world-renowned and controversial Thai artist, Tawan Duchani. He died a few years ago, but is presently celebrated as the national Thai artist. This museum does have meditation rooms, and even members of the royal family have visited to meditate. The design shows an unusual mix of northern Thai style and what can only be described as eccentricity, with animal skulls and skeletons and all kinds of other quite bizarre little statues dotted around. The compound has several buildings, some in traditional wood and are Lana style houses, so look quite old although they're not, and others are quite bizarre modern structures interspersed. Overall it resembles a temple, and there is an eating hall there that looks remarkably like a Viking ship. As I said before, the interiors and exteriors are decorated with skulls, skeletons, horns, skins, furs, and these are meant to depict sickness, old age and death, which kind of remind you of the Buddha's journey when he experienced all of these things. There are also some quite phallic images that can be quite shocking to visitors. It seems an odd, confusing, mysterious, dark kind of place. At times it's slightly morbid and even a little bit scary, and yet it kind of reminds you of Gaudi or Dali in its architecture and the artwork. The Blue Temple, or Wat Rong Suaten, is the newest temple in Chiangrai, and it was built by one of the students of the architect who built the White Temple, a man called Chalamchai Kositpipat. The name of the temple translates as the House of the Dancing Tiger, because historically the area surrounding the temple was full of wildlife, and in particular tigers who leapt into the nearby river. The Blue Temple is smaller than the others, but it's just as striking, painted in very brilliant blue with overlays of gold, and the centerpiece is the Great Hall, in the middle of which is a huge statue of Buddha, and it's in white stone. It sits surrounded by contemporary Buddhist art in quite a modern style. As I said, it's a relatively new temple, so it's not yet that widely known to tourists, but I'm sure that's going to change in future years. It's a fairly conventional design, similar to other Buddhist temples, but there are paintings here that are similar to those found in the White Temple. But it's this striking blue and gold that stands out. In the middle of the day, in bright sunlight, it's almost an assault on the eyes. It's overwhelmingly beautiful, but you really do have to step back after a while because of all this dazzling brilliance. Wat Rong Kun is the White Temple. It's privately owned, and it's essentially an art exhibit, and it's in the style of a Buddhist temple. It's owned by a man called Chalamchai Kositpipat, who designed, constructed and opened it to visitors in 1997. It was in a bad state of repair, and he took it over and decided to completely rebuild it, and he funded it from his own money. Part of the area is set aside as a centre of learning and meditation, and for people to gain benefit from the Buddhist teachings. Chalamchai considers the temple to be an offering to Buddha, and he sees it as a project that will give him immortal life. Right at the centre there is this white building called an ubosot. You reach it by crossing a bridge over a small lake, and in front of this there are hundreds of outreaching hands carved in stone. They symbolise unrestrained desire. The bridge itself is the path to happiness, and it's reached by avoiding temptation, greed and desire. When you cross the bridge, you arrive at the gate of heaven. This main building is all white, but is covered with fragments of mirrored glass. It's designed in the classic style with a three-tiered roof and quite a number of Naga serpents around, as you would see in more conventional temples. Unfortunately, you can't take pictures on the inside because it's considered a holy place. These three temples are an extraordinary experience, all taken together. They move you from the Black House or Black Temple, which locals sometimes refer to as Hell, through the Blue Temple to the White Temple, which locals refer to as Heaven. Undoubtedly, it's an experience that is not to be missed if you visit Chiangrai, and the beauty of these places cannot be described with any degree of accuracy or in any way that captures the feeling that you have when you're there. It's a truly beautiful place, and I would really love to go back there again in the future.